While Democrats coalesce around Kamala Harris, elected Republicans and conservative media are lobbing one of their favorite lines of attack at the de facto nominee, that she is a DEI hire.
The only reason Kamala's in the White House is because of the DEI deal Biden cut with Bernie to seal the nomination.
And, of course, her whole history is DEI, diversity, exclusion, and equity.
Intellectually, just really kind of the bottom of the barrel. I think she was a DEI hire.
She would be the queen of DEI if she were elected. She is DEI.
Are you suggesting she was a DEI hire?
100%. She was a DEI hire.
This focus on DEI is, of course, just one of the many conservative attacks on Vice President Harris. But these racially charged comments have gotten so bad that House Republican leadership has stepped forward to tell its own members to basically knock it off and instead focus on Vice President Harris's record and not on her race and gender. I'm gonna say it again, Simone. When you have to send a memo saying stop being racist, it's a good indicator that you're a racist.
It is very problematic. I will also say again that I do not think Democrats should spend their entire time discussing this. However, semicolon, it is very important to call it out and address what they are doing and saying, because this is something that not just Black people, people of color, period, women, they deal with often. Someone suggesting in a meeting or at your workplace or you standing in line at the Starbucks that you are where you are because someone gave it to you. I regret to inform folks, but, you know, women in this country, Black women in this country, especially women of color, they do not get anything handed to them, okay? You have to, you literally have to be 3 times, 4 times as good as the white man you are standing next to. Sometimes you are 15 times better, and it is still not enough. They still question your qualifications. Melissa Murray and I, right after the debate, went to Butler County, Pennsylvania, and we sat down and we talked to Black women in the suburbs. And one of the things that they told us, they all had the same experience. They said when we first moved in the neighborhood, they all lived in the same neighborhood, people would come up to them and say, well, what does your husband do? The woman whose house we were at, she said her husband was very tall, and they all assumed he played basketball. The man is in finance. One of the women was single, and people kept coming up to her neighbor saying, is your husband coming anytime soon? Essentially asking, how can you afford to live here without a man? So this is a very real phenomenon that people are dealing with, just like what we all saw happen to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson during her hearing. So you have to address it, call it out, do not get mired down in it.
But here's the thing, is that so Adam Kinzinger pointed out, I think Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, that what makes this so ugly is that it reveals a truth that is clearly broadly held within Republican circles. That white men, by definition, when they have a job, earned it and deserve it. And anybody but a white man is a DEI hire, meaning it was handed to them without them deserving it or without them earning it. George W. Bush became president because his father was president. John F. Kennedy, in many ways, his political rise was because his father paid for it, paid for a film to be made about his service in World War II to make him more popular. Donald Trump became president because he was on The Apprentice.
This is some tea, Joy. This is tea is hot.
But the reality is that in order for, if Vice President Kamala Harris becomes president, she will become president because she was a DA who then got elected to be the Attorney General in the largest state in the country, which could be its own country, and where that was not done because the state of California is overwhelmingly Black. It's only about 6% Black. So she was elected by the entire broad spectrum, one of the most diverse states in the country, as Attorney General, and then got elected to the United States Senate, meaning that she couldn't possibly be handed the jobs that she had because she had to earn not a few votes, but millions of votes. She didn't get elected senator in Wyoming, where there are more cows than human beings. And so, by definition, she's earned every position. But to have even women come forward and try to make salacious accusations about her and essentially undermine her and all of the voters who supported her. She was selected vice president as one of the most qualified people to ever take that office. Much more so than Dan Quayle. I don't even remember what he did to become vice president. So the reality is they are revealing, not just to us on this panel, but to every suburban voter in Philadelphia, to every woman who's ever worked at a job where they felt passed over for a position that a man received or got the job and then had a question. And I'm not just talking about black women. I'm talking about women in general. I'm talking about anyone who has ever felt slighted. You can talk about working class people who they're based on class. They're told that they don't deserve to be there. Every person has a story about that moment when you were told you don't belong here. All they're doing is turning those voters into voters for Kamala Harris. And so just as a matter of strategy, it's absolutely stupid. It's also deeply offensive.
I'm right with you on how revealing these attacks are of a certain worldview. And I will say that extends even to Donald Trump's favorite moniker or proposed moniker, Laughing Kamala Harris. Sophie Gilbert is a very astute observer of that phenomenon and writes in The Atlantic the sort of history of tagging women as laughers. Women who laugh in public have historically been associated with the lack of social modesty, with hysteria, and even with madness. In insisting that Harris's laugh is somehow a sign of psychological depravity or narcotic-induced lack of inhibitions, conservatives are doing their best to couple Kamala Harris and people's subconscious with a specific reaction: disgust.
It's really, first of all, I love her laugh. It's joyful, and I hope she continues it. It's also this effort, which I think happens to women more than it happens to men, to put people in a box, right? You can't be joyful and have a great laugh and also be serious and smart and just a badass prosecutor. You can't be both. And of course you can be both, because human beings are both. And that's what I think people need to remember.
We contain multitudes.
We contain multitudes. We're all many things. I will also say, though, I hope that what Joy said is what happens. I also think, though, part of their objective is to make people, and you see this in some of the reporting, to make people feel out there, women, yes, women of color, yes, that this is not possible, that the country is not ready to elect a black woman, an Asian American woman to the presidency. They are projecting that on people so that people feel suppressed by that view. And that is an important thing, I think, to call out, too.
Yeah, to keep alive the sense of possibility that is, coloring this moment.